you can possibly do, as we already do see the R ban against him, but you want to take him out of the game. There's a lot of champions he can play. There's a lot of champions he can play really deadly on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that, and maybe one targeted at Kuban. Makade hasn't been that impactful in the jungle lately. Makler and Libic haven't really done that well in the lane together, so I think taking out those two key members of MeetYourMakers can really get you in the right direction.
Well, let's see then. We saw a Sona ban coming out first for MeetYourMakers. That is by far and away Voidal's most picked champion. And you know, it's Gambit's most picked support champion to have in there anyway, so that's not really a surprise. Fiddlestick's going to be banned here then for Gambit as well. Okay, so Libic, he plays a lot of Fiddlesticks. He actually doesn't do too well on him, unfortunately. Like, the whole champion can be... It can work really well, or unfortunately work very bad for you. It just depends on how well you do in lane, where you could be a real terror with like a Fiddlesticks Varus kind of combo. But obviously I can be able to play it this time. Well, they've banned out Fizz here as well, Gambit, which kind of tells them that they're going for very specific picks here, that they don't want that Fizz to be able to be coming out as a counter pick for. I was trying to think, has Charu played Fizz yet this split? I don't believe he has. No. I think the only one we've ever seen was Nuke Duck, and I think maybe Ocelot once. And that's just about it. But yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. Fizz is a very good counter to a couple of champions like Karthus, but he gets countered by Ahri, which is already banned out. So I'm really curious to see if Charu's actually been practicing that. Maybe that's the reason, or the reason just like you said. Well, it looks like we could be seeing Aatrox in this one. Of course, Darian was the first player to bring Aatrox to the table. Thresh is another champion that's managed to slip through the ban phase from this one, so it wouldn't surprise me to see that come in, especially with that Sona ban. Ooh. Okay, so we do see the Thresh locked in. Sorry, I was getting excited. Look at the other pick. He is. He's like, yes, finally. But the Thresh, he was changed around a little bit in 3.10. His base armor, his base health was reduced, but the ability power and the armor he gets per soul was increased, so it's a flat 0.75 for every single one, so it takes about 100-something souls for him to kind of equal out to where he was previously. But still, the hook, I mean, that's the true terror of Thresh, and if you get hit by one of those, you can just die. Well, we did see that Elise managing to sneak through, and you see how happy Kuban is with that one. Just look at his eyebrows. Doing the dance of Kuban's eyebrows that are now infamous here in the LCS. Let's see what they go with for their second pick from this one. And now, the likes of Vayne that's still available is a champion that Makler... number one, Vayne right now is very, very popular, very strong. Makler has played a lot of Vayne in the past. Genja, not really the biggest Vayne person, though. Yeah, and we always do pretty much talk about Makler and his micromanagement on the AD carries. Like, we think back to Intel Extreme Masters Cologne, where his Kog'Maw was ridiculous. His Vayne was just so well done. And with the Nunu pick, I think we might see a Kog'Maw come out of him, actually. Yeah, we'll see that going into action here. But thinking of that Nunu in the jungle, we have seen Nunu support actually being used as well. So we'll see about that one. For Gambit, then, already got Thresh in there, of course, and things really wide open for where they want to go with the picks. I'm curious if Kha'Zix might get picked up. I mean, obviously he was changed a little bit in 3.9, but he's still a really strong champion, and we've seen Alex do it previously, just how well he has played it. And you see something that you like. Well, I wanted Shyvana, but I wouldn't be too unhappy if we get to see Diamond on Lee Sin here. That would be nice. The Twisted Fate being picked up and locked in there by Alexic. Obviously, Twisted Fate himself had those changes as well, no longer having that global passive that he had, giving that gold out to everyone, but gaining more of it himself on most occasions, I think we could say. But it's the whole pick a card thing that's really changed for him. Yeah, because you used to be able to just kind of cycle through your cards, wait till that timer counts down, then lock your card in and wait for that timer to go down. It gave you a really long period of time to throw that card, but now it's been shortened quite a bit, so you're forced to really commit to it or just kind of back away. But on the other side, you see some pretty much instant locks coming in. Yeah, Kassadin. Yeah, no problem there for Charu. Once that Twisted Fate comes in, he's like, we're going to pick that one straight up here and have that Kassadin in there. Are they going to be going for Twitch? Makler is currently hovering over that one. Let's see if that will be the choice for them to... I think in Nunu in the jungle, as I said, we have seen Nunu in support role recently, so could end up being that support Nunu, but I'm tempted to say that Libic's probably going to go somewhere like Zyra. Yeah, and the thing is, his Zyra was so strong back in Intel Extreme Masters Singapore when we kind of first saw them come to life in terms of a big event, but he's 2-10 on Zyra right now. And that's, unfortunately, it's not a great score. It's not a bad champion to pick up, and it gives you that opportunity to kind of catch someone followed up with Cocoon, and it gives Twitch the ability to really get strong in lane, but there's still like Nami available. She kind of disappeared. People aren't playing her anymore, which is a really strong combo with Twitch, since you have Twitch you can throw at a slow, then Nami can follow up with a pretty easy bubble, not to mention her E. I mean, it's really hard to kind of escape from that. But I'm imagining that we're going to see lane swaps actually come in. Maybe Genja and Voidal will go up against Charu in that middle lane, because Twisted Fate's going to have a really tough time. Well, let's see then what Gambit going to finish off here. AD carrying top laner, we're thinking, to be picked up here by the Russians and one Estonian. We should mention once again here, obviously, Voidal is going to be, well, locking in Yorick here for Darien and a Misfortune.
Okay, so we saw Yorick just last game with NIP. It didn't work out terribly, didn't work out too well though. I mean, he was in lane, he was able to stay in lane, a little bit behind in terms of CS, and the game kind of snowballed pretty much out of the laning phase. It wasn't even his fault for that one, but it's a strong pick. I mean, a lot of people synergize him with like an AD carry, like a really hyper AD carry like Vayne or Kog'Maw or something like that, but it also works really well on AP carries like a Karthus, someone who can kind of spam abilities, so there's always that potential to have it on Twisted Fate. But Genja Misfortune, that was his go-to champion back in the spring split. Why not pick it up again?
Well, MeetYourMakers have finished off their lineup here with the Janna pick, which wasn't really expecting the Janna to come out there, not in Libic's top 3 pick champion. So obviously something that they've been working on here from this one.
Yeah, and they actually all picked their own champions in this game.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird because usually you pick champions that you want for other people. But yeah, so the Janna, it was picked up actually it was picked up by and rated, I think, was the first one to really play it here in Europe back in week number 1. And obviously the shield gives you that extra AD in lane, not to mention the disengage, which is really helpful when a Twitch doesn't really have an escape besides that stealth, but that's immediately countered by Lee Sin.
Well, we're going to be seeing the MeetYourMakers in desperate need for a victory against Gambit. And, well, it's against Gambit. It's not a team that you, when you look through the fixture list, I don't think Gambit's the one you put a tick next to expecting to have the best chances of picking up those 3 points, especially since the fact that Gambit have done this boot camp. And I think that's the real interesting factor in this one, that we've not really seen Gambit do this before in terms of in the LCS here. Obviously, they used to do it all the time, which is what, in my opinion, was part of what made them so very, very strong coming into other tournaments. Another thing that made them so strong is that Diamond used to play Lee Sin, and now he's playing him again, and I'm really excited about that.
And the thing I'm looking forward to most is this is like the time. Has all that work paid off? Like, are we going to see an extremely strong Gambit or a meh Gambit kind of thing where they have to make big plays happen? Like, they could possibly fall out of or not be in these playoffs, and they don't come out big right now. It's going to be really tough.
It's good. Good to see MeetYourMakers are, in fact, supporting ninjas in pajamas coming in. All 5 of them got NIP logos coming into this game. So that's an interesting choice for them. And we'll see how that really helps them coming into this game. But certainly an uphill struggle is this entire Super weekend for them. But if there's a time to shine, it's now.
Yeah, and I mean, just like I said before, the momentum that you get into those playoffs and all this hard work, like everything they've worked for practically 2 years now, not qualifying the first time for the spring split, then finally qualifying in the summer. Like, you have to come up with something. Like, you have to dig deep down to really show everyone that you wanted to be here and you deserve to be here.
So here we go then, into game Gambit versus MeetYourMakers, game 3 of our Super Week 9. And, of course, we have 8 games coming up today, so still plenty of League of Legends action coming your way, so don't leave your house. That's basically what you need to do right now. And there's a head-to-head result, of course. 3-0. Gambit won all 3 encounters so far. MeetYourMakers, as I said, it's going to be tough. Jason, walk us through level 1.
Well, if anything, I would imagine it'd be on Gambit's side. You have the quick initiate out of Lee Sin. You also have that hook landing, then the gold card to follow up. But as we're seeing right now, I mean, Gambit just want to get some wards down. They want to know where Makata is going. Since it's a Nunu, he's very prone to counter jungling you. And against a Lee Sin, it's going to be a little hard for him to kind of do that against a Doran's Bladed Lee Sin, which we have to point out as well. But there's always that possibility if he can steal something away that it really keeps Diamond behind. And Lee Sin's not a champion that you really want to fall behind with. And then we also see a Doran shield start for Chara, which is becoming a lot more popular lately. Obviously, you can eat a lot more harass in that lane, and you also get that extra regen, and it's actually a very strong item. A lot of people don't really pick it up.
So, bit of a quiet start after that initial ward going down there from Gambit on the top side. There's a couple down on the bottom side of the map as Voidal and Genja actually holding on, and Makla's going to face check right into the middle of them. There's the Ignite going down. Barrier already used by Makla. He flashes over the wall, and, well, he's used both of his summoners right just like that.
Yeah, and right now, Diamond's like, I'm looking at that bottom lane for a free kill, but they're actually going for an invade here. They're trying to keep this blue off of Makate, and this would be a terrible start. He needs to be able to secure this. He does obviously have Smite and have his Consume, but they're trying to go for a steal here. They're trying to make it, assume that he's not going to smite it.
And they've got 2 men guarding their own blue buff here as well. This could be very, very interesting. That ward will stay up there. Stun card pull. Libic gonna get stunned up there, but he will flash as well over the top of the wall. And, well, this bottom lane have got no escapes left now.
Yeah, it's not a good start at all. I mean, we've talked about earlier in the season how MeetYourMakers, when they get put behind, they kind of stay behind. They don't know how to recover from that, and this is exactly what Gambit is doing to them. And not to mention Mako, just like with no summoners, you're so prone to being ganked, especially by a Lee Sin, who started at blue, so he's going to be coming down bottom.
And Voidal here causing all kinds of harassment over towards Makata, and he's going to see that being nommed down. They do finally get down into lane, as once again Makler, he's had to obviously go home to heal. He's used his barrier, he's got no flash, as doesn't Libic. So overall, this bottom lane from MeetYourMakers have to be so careful now.
Yeah, they do, especially if you get like hooked by with a Misfortune who does so much damage earlier on. She's like one of the strongest AD carries pre-level 6, or even not level 6 with that boa time. So they have to be very careful, and that makes you wonder, when Makati come around and try to help that bottom lane as Diamond, instead of ganking that bottom lane, he's actually just farming away in that jungle. Looks like he wants that level 4 before he goes in for any sort of gank, but he also doesn't really need to force it because he knows Makati's behind.
Bit of a pink ward battle down in this bottom lane. You see the exhaust being used there. There goes the flay on towards Libic. He's very, very low from this one. First blood comes into Genja, and Makler, I'm not sure that he can really stand to this one either, but he will go back off towards the tower, uses the expunge there onto Genja, who will go low from it, but they've picked up that first blood crucially.
Wait a minute, was Genja aggressive there? No way, I don't believe that. I mean, we never see him play aggressive, and it might be a result of that boot camp. He might have changed up his style a little bit. He's done it in the past, but you see how well it works out for him right now as Makler, 3 CS, 4 minutes in to 15 CS on Genja, who can just free farm away right now.
Yeah, and holding out that lane really nicely here as well, stopping Makler really getting into range for most of it as he just comes out. You can get 1 CS there from that one. Let's not go too far with that one. But Voidal doing a great job in terms of positioning here, you have to say, from that first kill.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's been doing a fantastic job. Dime coming around the top lane though to go for a gank on a Kuban. He's actually going to be stuck here, but he will have that flash.
Yeah, Repel coming in from that one. The Q will land. Wow, and Kuban flashing behind the tower there. He thought that Diamond was going to follow in.
And that might just be nerves right there. And that's really unfortunate because if you're going to flash, you got to make sure they're committing something as well. Maybe get him under that turret, but Makati, he's sticking around in Gambit. They're trying to go for a kill here.
Oh, they've landed the kill into Emil once again. Kuban going to go down from this, but Makata is now chasing in. He's got the ignite on towards Diamond. Can he get away from this one? There is a smite going down on towards the minions, but he will go down, and that's the buffs transferred back over to Makata.
And that was a fantastic try by Diamond right there. He popped his Iron Will just to smite it away to get some extra spell vamp in there, but he also uses W on himself instead of Darian to kind of escape right there. But either way, good turnaround. Makati now, who was behind earlier on because of that blue buff harass, is now caught up with that double buff. He's going to have a refresh on it, and he's going to be a really big nuisance to deal with.
So, 2-1, 700 gold lead here right from the start for Gambit. And well, it's good that Makata got that kill there because things could be going very badly for them right now if that had not happened. But still not all perfect at this stage. We'll see how this one really develops. You can see that bottom lane, they continue to put the pressure on towards Makler, who, lucky there that Voidal actually, I think, tried to aim his hook as to where Makler was going to go, but he just stood still, so he missed anyway in the end. But if you look at the levels there, obviously Genja got the advantage from that one, and he's done a very Genja-like thing of picking up triple Doran's Blade.
So it's a little, well, it's unusual overall, but not really unusual for him, just like you're saying.
Tia's coming next.
Oh, I hope not. I hope not on Misfortune. But what it does give him, though, is that extra presence in lane, that extra damage, so he can afford to duel Makler even more. Not to mention the lifesteal, because he wasn't running any flat or any percent lifesteal on his runes in here. But Darren's actually being very aggressive on Kuban because Diamond was around, and Makler, Darren actually can take him very low.
Wow, Kuban actually going very aggressive from this one. Diamond's not really close to him as you see the repel coming. Has he got the finisher? Yes, he has. Kuban picks up the kill. He's got a level advantage here over on Diamond. He's going to have to try and dodge this Q. Throws down the cocoon. Diamond going to get decent damage into him here, but there's a lot of minions there as well, and Diamond forced to back off.
That was fantastic. His Spider Lane caught the Q out of Diamond proc, so he didn't get caught at all. He was able to run through his own minion wave and escape. Great job by him. As you could tell, I was surprised he went in for that. I mean, considering we obviously knew where Diamond was, but to kill Darren like that, because we know he goes on tilt, we're going to see how it's going to develop.
Yeah, Charu going in aggressive there. I think he's bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. Where's the wild cards? Alexic not able to throw them out quick enough here. And Charu will escape with very little as Makata comes around the side as well. Snowball not doing enough. Little bit of a dance and backing away.
Yeah, and right now, because of that kill top lane that Kuban just got, it gives Makati that freedom to gank middle, to gank bottom, to help those other lanes out a little bit. As you can see by CS, Alexic is ahead of Charu. Makati is going to be sneaking around here bottom. And He's not spotted by a ward. This could be very bad for Gambit, though. Genja, he does have flash, does have barrier to escape.
Wondering where the wards are overall here, as Voidal going to take a lot of damage, and they're going to go straight in on towards him. Can they finish off? Charu has teleported in as well. There's the knock-up. Makler will secure a kill. Genja trying to put some damage back onto him, but those 4 men from NYM are unchallenged, really. There's no one there from Gambit to really do anything about it. And another perfectly settled kill, and again, we see that teleport being called into play.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. I mean, I wanted to see what kind of Charu are we going to see this game in terms of that teleport. And as you can tell, with the Caston, if he wants to be around the map, I mean, he's already a Caston. He can already get around the map extremely quickly, but with the teleport, with that assist under his belt, it's going to help him get his item build going a little bit quicker. And I think his Caston can really start to get strong very quickly.
He's got that tier in there as well, which he picked up on his last trip home. See, in that top lane, what was going pretty well for Darien up there, it had that presence from Kuban to come in there. They managed to get that 1 kill. Kuban really not scared of fighting in there at the top, and that's what we saw. A little bit of miscommunication, I think, because Darien pushed up that lane while Diamond was in the tri-bush, but then Diamond went into MYM's jungle, and it was all a little bit strange from Gambit's side of things. I think there was some communication problems with how that fight went down, but it leaves us either way. Gambit still having a gold lead. MeetYourMakers ahead in kills.
All right, now it could be a lot worse for MeetYourMakers, but luckily they picked up those 3 kills, and I was looking over the past couple of games in Gambit versus MeetYourMakers in terms of Dragons, where Gambit's gotten 9, and MeetYourMakers only been limited to 3. And we've seen earlier today just how impactful getting Dragons over and over can be for SK, who got 5 or 6 in their first game of the day, then EG, who got quite a few in their game just previously versus NIP. And right now, MeetYourMakers, like, that's the next big step for them. Can they maybe gank bottom lane or gank middle and then get that pressure on that Dragon?
Yeah, Alex has had plenty of time to be farming himself up, and obviously his passive now works in his favor. Obviously, it doesn't work towards his team anymore, but he's going to be gaining more gold from that overall. So we'll see how he really develops. He spent a lot of time in that lane just constantly farming things up, as we see Nunu headed towards his top lane, and he's going to be spotted there. And that's one of the problems, almost free vision that you can get out there from Warwick. But look at that damage coming out from Yorick, not Warwick. We've not seen him for a while. But they see the damage there once again from Kuban. Darien has to be so careful. Yeah, Kuban's riding his patented 14 magic pen earlier on, which is going to help since Darien is actually using a very aggressive rune page where he has 13 flat armor pen, 5 flat magic pen, and then 8% of both. So he wants to go in for damage. He wants to make an impact, but Kuban, he's just able to turn that aggression around right onto him. So I just saw his recall being cancelled there in that top lane. Bottom lane got a little bit quiet after what was a hectic start. That first blood going over to Gambit. However, we have to point out that Genja still has a big CS lead over Makler. Yes, he does. And he has 1,500 gold in his pockets to spend right now. And, you know, to me, the bottom lane is a really crucial point how this game's going to go, but it's all, to me, about Makade. Because in the past, he's been more of a aggressive jungler in terms of he likes to gank a lot, but he's never reactive. Like, he never counter ganks too often. And right now he's trying to set up for it, but Diamond's nowhere near there. He's at that bottom lane. He's trying to gank there. No, he's just spotted Makata coming running out of the bush like, good job I didn't push that one out too far. With the Nunu waiting in there, but look at this. MeetYourMakers are all coming down, so we could be seeing a play about to happen on towards Dragon. Yeah, and Alex actually might be able to get caught here. Yeah, and they've come right into that one. Cocoon max range, he's going to land onto him. Alex now in all kinds of trouble. He's going to be able to stun one of them, but he went for Nunu. The other two mobile enough to finish off. Good kill, and that is most probably going to secure them, this Dragon as well. And what's a little weird is that you mentioned it, Darien saw Nunu running down through the river. Like, they kind of should have expected that coming, and right now MeetYourMakers are trying to get this first Dragon, but Diamond, he has something to say about it. Yeah, Libic here actually going to get hooked, get hit with a Q. Genja picks up that kill. We do see the Dragon actually being picked up there by MeetYourMakers, flashes away. Q not quite landing there coming out of Diamond, and able then for not to follow up on things. And MeetYourMakers, they lose their support player, but they picked up the first Dragon of the game. And to me, that's really important for them. I mean, right now, in terms of total Dragons over the summer split for EU, they're 7th at 38. And we talked earlier about how Gambit has 9-3 up against them in their series, and something like that gives you so much gold, and it really kind of gives you a good mindset. It gives you the opportunity to say, all right, Dragon died then, we have the timer for it, and when it comes close to that point, we'll have a pink ward down on it, but do we also want to make another play on it? And if they can kind of snowball multiple Dragons overall, then they will have a hefty lead. So, just seeing a couple of items being picked up Genja in particular, a lot of gold going back there, picking up a BF sword and a Vamp scepter from that one. We can see from Alex's side, he's added the Sheen in. On the top side, Yorick now, Negatron Cloak, probably vital at this stage. We've seen how much damage Kuban's been doing to him.
Yeah, that will be going to that Spectral Scowl, which is actually a very strong item. That regen you get is just so strong, but right now Kuban, he kind of countered that with the Haunting Guise, and if he gets Sword Boots right after, that Negatron Cloak is pretty much wasted gold right now for Darien.
Well, let's see how that one heads as we see at the bottom here. Makler going to be doing a bit of damage, but actually takes far too much there. Has to use his barrier. Voidal was trying to push in there as Diamond comes flying through the queue, not quite landing in on towards Livic.
He's like, hey guys, I'm here. Oh, too late. But we just saw right there, like the trading potential out of Genja versus Makler, where Genja just destroyed him with that BS sword, with those 3 Doran's blades.
Yeah.
And Makler, he has to go back, he has to pick up an item, and he actually is going towards a Bilgewater Cutlass, so he will go for that Blade of the Rune King as his first major buy, and honestly, that really won't help him in lane too much. It'll help him in team fights with a spray and pray, but Genja should be just able to outdamage him 1v1 now.
So Kuban there just pushed onto his tower, does pick up the Haunting Guise here, first of all, as we've seen him do a lot during the course of the season, but Darien starting to be able to hold his own in this lane. We'll see how that one all really develops. Makata did start to come across, but I think decided that they probably weren't going to get in onto it. And now we're seeing the second blue buffs going over to the mid laners.
And yeah, we've seen Kuban carry very well on his Elise. He has a 4.6 KDA on her. And you kind of see MeetYourMakers' mindset behind that, where they've been defending her quite well. Like, Makati's been up there often, more often than he's been bottom lane or middle so far, and it kind of shows that they want to get him started early. And we're going to see how it's going to develop as the game goes on, obviously. But Charu hasn't been given much help. However, he's doing a great job in keeping up in CS. He's not down that much. Yeah,
he's really not that far behind. And his teleport is now off cooldown, by the way. So could be seeing him get involved. We have to mention as well, Alex Sich, level 10. He's not popped Destiny once.
Yeah, actually just thinking about that as well. I mean, he hasn't had the opportunity to go top or bottom just yet. He knows Charu will be able to follow him here, so maybe it's meant more for split push. And as you see him set up, it looks like he actually wants to go for a teleport down this bottom lane, and they need to back away.
Yeah, they need to get away from this one, as we see there. The Howling Gale mistimed, and Makler gets absolutely destroyed. There's the full channel of Makata's ultimate coming out. It's a lot of damage coming around, but can they hold on? Flash away from Alex. They picked up the kill on Charu. Makata now underneath his own tower will go down. That's another kill for Genja. And Gambit going to be taking the first turret of the game, plus 3 kills for nothing.
And wow, I mean, we just talked about Alex not use his ultimate. He comes in towards that bottom lane, and the thing was, right when Charu got in there, like right when he teleported in, Alex hit him with the gold card. It stopped him from doing any damage, and they just blew him up, and honestly, they could pick up a second turret.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what Livic's going to be able to do to stop this one. Throw out a Howling Gale, but that's really all he's got, and you see how fast they're ripping through this tower right now. That is going to be the second tower, an inner turret taken here from Gambit. That just makes those 3 kills in that initial tower even more amazing.
And what's really deadly is with that second turret going down, they lose control of their blue buff. I mean, we have to have Libic warded up constantly, because Charu, he's going to need that blue to power up that tier to get that Rod of Ages and to be able to have that ability to keep spamming. Not to mention, Dragon should be coming up relatively soon. To me, actually, that's losing that second turret was worse than losing 2 middle turrets at this point. Oh, Kuban.
I mean, very, very low. The Ghoul's hammering away on him there. Probably shouldn't die to them at this stage, but still going lower than he maybe bargained for going up there against Darien, who right now is pretty strong. He's started, as I said before, to really be able to hold his own once again. Not quite getting the cancel on the recall there that Kuban was so in desperate need of. Genja getting himself the red buff. He's now got that Bloodthirster finished up after picking up another kill down in that last engagement. And look at his CS now. It's up to 50.
Yeah, that's...
well, the lead's up to 50.
Yeah,
he's got 130 overall. You knew what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, we see Charu getting caught.
Yeah, getting the hook in there, but have they got the damage? Rift walk away there from Charu. Nice shield coming out as well, just to really negate that tower damage coming in. But Diamonds come from the back, kicks Charu through. He's going to follow in from this one. Needs to be careful as the Howling Gale comes around. But Gambit, in the process, managed to pick up that middle outer turret. But they're not done here, MeetYourMakers. They're going to go aggressive. Are they going to be able to catch onto Voidal? There is the repel. Voidal going super low from this one. He's shielded himself, burning from the Ignite. Not sure that he's actually going to go down there at the back. No, he's managed to live through it.
I believe that Howling Gale that came out of Jana, actually, yes, it did. It stopped Diamond from queuing into Makati, which would have been a guaranteed kill. Fantastic job by Livic, but you just see MeetYourMakers, they're kind of losing control in Gambit. They're taking advantage of that. They realize that, and this chaos that they're kind of putting down, where they, you know, 4-man gank bottom, then push 2 turrets down, then just group up middle, push that turret down. It's catching MeetYourMakers off guard, where Kumon, he's being forced to help. Like, he went down middle to help out, and he's falling behind in CS in his lane.
So let's have a look at some recent purchases. Spirit Visage added in there for Darren, which means Kubon's probably not going to be able to kill him anymore.
Yeah.
The Aegis also added in there for Diamond's Lee Sin. That was before that last fight. Also, the Needlessly Large Rod picked up from Alexich as well.
Yeah, so it looks like he either will go his Lich Bane. As you see, Kubon might get caught here. It does dodge the hook, so he'll be fine. But he might go for the Death Cap, he might go for Zonia's, or go for that Lich Bane. But this is the big point. 17.5 minutes in. Dragon is up. MeetYourMakers cannot afford to let this go. But I'm not sure they can even team fight right now. They need to be able to catch someone with that Cocoon, followed up with the entire CC chain or damage chain, and hopefully be able to kill Gambit. But right now they're like, all right, well, we'll just 3-man push middle. And right now MeetYourMakers isn't in position to stop this.
They're so incredibly out of position to stop anything like this happening. We can see their Diamond just off to the side, just being basically a human wall trying to stop MeetYourMakers pushing through. He's actually going to take a lot of damage here, but they've took the turret. Hook has landed in on towards Kubon. This could be very bad for MYM. All going very low. Libic's going to die here at the backside. Voidal actually picking up that one. And while they lost 1 man, honestly, that could have been a lot worse than just a 1 man. But Gambit are pushing towards the inhib turret.
I mean, they are just punishing MeetYourMakers left and right. They realize that they're all grouped up with Dragon. Why not push that turret? And then MYM, unfortunately, getting caught. Libic being the one to die right there. You're going to lose that inhibitor turret. They should be able to lose their inhibitor here. And Gambit, they have a strong lead. 8,000 gold, 18.5 minutes in.
There's going to be a bit of damage coming out now. Hook has actually landed onto Charu here. He's going to go very low. Force a Rift walk away. Kubon will have to repel, but he can't go anywhere. He's going to come straight back down on top of them. Wildcard's actually finishing him off, and that's another kill, plus the inhib. That came from really nothing. They were both teams were at Dragon. That was all positional play that's just got Gambit those bunch of kills, the inner and the inhibitor, plus the inhibitor itself.
And because of all the gold they've been able to farm, because of their CS lead, because of their levels, because of how strong they are with these 8 kills, they can afford to do that. Like, MeetYourMakers doesn't have a lot of wave clear. They have to pop everything they can to potentially kill 1 person, but who will that be on Gambit? But now Chari's teleported in behind. I don't think no, there's no way he's going to steal. He's going to try to go in for a kill here.
Oh, that wasn't meant to happen. So we'll get that one fixed here, hopefully, in a couple of seconds. There we go, all fixed, easy peasy. As we do get back, there wasn't quite that Dragon Steel coming out there. A little bit too slow on to react to that one, as Charu going to put a bit of a burst of damage down here. And now Gambit, they're going to have to try and defend off from this, but it looks like MeetYourMakers have decided, you know what, we're just going to back away, no real problem.
And right now, with the lineup that Gambit has, with that inhibitor being down middle for MeetYourMakers, Baron is a very likely possibility. And one thing about Gambit with Baron, every time they've gotten first Baron, they've won the game in the summer split. So that's a very dangerous thing to let Gambit kind of pick up. Not to mention, they have the least amount of Barons taken at 10. So that kind of shows if they go for Baron, it's just to win the game. They don't necessarily need it all the time, but that might be the next move for them.
Yeah, with the Oracles coming in there as well. I've seen them. Manamoon actually finished off here by Darian as well. And now Alexich is coming up towards that top lane to join him. Go for a kill on Kubon, who's he's a spider after all. He'll be able to get away. Lovely Cocoon comes around onto Darian. That pretty much stops all of that happening. Or does it? Alexich really getting close in there as well. They're going to try and have this turret away. As Diamond comes around, Makata and Libic, are going to be waiting off towards the side. There's the Sonic Wave hitting, but will he follow through from this one? Doesn't look like it. Oracle clearing out vision as well. They've completely zoned them out of that final outer turret.
Yeah, MeetYourMakers can't afford to do it. They're not strong enough, first of all, but with that middle inhibitor being down, they have super minions constantly pushing up against them that they have to concede pretty much their 2 outer turrets, and Gambit are taking advantage of this right now. We're going to have a 5-on-5 probably breakout here relatively soon. And who's it going to come out of? I mean, MeetYourMakers, do they want to go for a stand here? Like, do they want to kind of lock the sun down? If they do catch Genja.
Yeah, they catch Genja. They're going to try and explode him, which they've managed to do. There's a shutdown coming in, but the rest of Gambit going to get involved. Charu's going to die. Makata's going down as well. Looks like Gambit are going to try and keep following through from this one. There's a flash. Destiny going to be coming out here from Alexich. Where's he coming? Right inside the base. Stun onto Libic. Wildcards will come through. Darian gets that one, but now Alex having to run. Kubon putting down good damage. Makler comes in to get that kill, but he's going to pay the price as well. That will be an ace coming out from Gambit. They're going to try and finish it right here.
Wow, I mean, they easily can. They have a long death timer on MeetYourMakers. They have super minions here, and this looks like it will be the game, definitely. And Gambit with a very quick win, 21.5 minutes. We talked about their boot camp. How well has it worked? And we're seeing it right now, Joe.
Well, it seems to have done wonders for them, that's for sure, as that first Nexus turret does go down. They're not going to be able to finish off just here right now as MeetYourMakers do spawn in. We're only 20 minutes in, we shouldn't forget that. The spawn times aren't massively long at this stage of things, but we saw there what Gambit are doing. They're ahead, so they're pushing towers. MeetYourMakers either give them up or they fight, and they can't win fights. You've just seen that right there. What do they do here?
They need to hold on somehow, and that's going to be really difficult to do against Gambit, where they lose so many objectives. They have pretty much no income at this point. Obviously, they have lanes to farm up, but the problem is Livic, he needs like an Oracle. He needs to be able to clear out all that vision in their jungle so they can get those camps. They need to, well, they can't afford to stop Baron because Gambit can just kind of walk away, but they need that farm. They need Charu to maybe pick up a kill or two just to kind of get him going a little bit quicker. And then with that, like, they have the potential to burst someone down. Alex doesn't have a Zhonya, so you can burst him. As you saw, Genja is easily burstable if you do land a Cocoon onto him. And as long as MeetYourMakers can target them down one by one, then they should have that potential. But they need to hold on. They need to hold on like 5 to 10 minutes at least.
Well, we've seen some pretty big items being picked up recently. That locket now being completed as Alex going to get in here on towards Makler, who is invisible, but he's not going to be invisible for very long here. Alex just blindly following there up the lane, and now the rest of Gambit coming in here. Makler looks like he's going to be a very dead rat. We'll actually use the Blade of the Ruin King there on towards Alex, but that won't help him out. Genja gets the kill. And
that's all due to the lack of vision that MeetYourMakers has. They don't know exactly where anyone is, and to be honest, that was kind of maybe a desperation move by Makler, because Alex's ultimate is now up. Like, it was almost up when they started fighting. Charu's out of position right now, and Gambit, yeah, they can.
They're going to try and win this one. Charu is going to be forced to recall from this. Obviously, that second Nexus turret is all that really stops Gambit walking in there right now. It's already down to less than half as the kick comes in. Kuban going to be knocked back. There's a hook onto Charu. He's going to surely die as well. Alex picks up that one, and they can just finish the game right here. They don't need the kills. They're going to pick up the second Nexus turret. The inhibitor has just spawned right behind them, which will stop them finishing the game right there. But they should be able to turn around. There's still 30 seconds here on Charu.
And MeetYourMakers, like, they can't hold on. Like, they have 5 members of Gambit up. You still Charu down for 20 seconds. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, they're going to push straight in for this one. Hook not going to land, but it doesn't matter. Gambit going to walk through, finish off the Nexus, and take down MeetYourMakers in 24 very, very quick minutes there. That was an absolute annihilation from Gambit.
That was a win, a very convincing win for Gambit. And we talked about earlier in the boot camp, how well has it worked out? I think we saw right there, it's worked out phenomenally for them. They pretty much had MeetYourMakers written down to a T. They knew exactly what to do against them, completely countered them. But now MeetYourMakers, what do? They're still in 8th place. There still is that possibility of them getting into the playoffs, but the chances are very slim.
Yeah, they are incredibly slim. I think words almost failed to describe how much MeetYourMakers need a turnaround here from this one. They have to win all 4 games if they're to have a chance, and even that isn't controlled by them. Obviously, the 4 wins are controlled thoroughly by them, but actually, even if they do that, they're not